At the start of Daddy-Daughter Card Wars, I had no idea where the episode was going to go. Charlie is into what are essentially tarot cards, Jake is of course going to bring up Card Wars at some point, and they're on a boat for some reason. The setup raises a lot of questions, and yet very quickly I got so drawn in by the episode's charm and fun dialogue that I let all my thoughts melt aside to simply enjoy whatever was about to come without trying to figure it out ahead of time. And whoa, did it go interesting places while simultaneously maintaining a super basic core plot. Charlie coming to the realization that she should probably help her dad move on from a self-destructive chunk of his past is a super standard sort of resolution, but the manner in which this realization was reached, well, that's something only Adventure Time would pull. The charm and fun dialogue I mentioned, for me, that initiated the moment Jake began explaining the appeal to Card Wars and we saw a glimpse into his past. This flashback introduced us to Jake's past girlfriend right off the bat in such a nonchalant way that I couldn't help but be taken aback. And from that very moment, I was hooked by the episode's fun flow. May I add that this flashback had phenomenal audio mixing? The sound design of the entire episode was honestly amazing, but the moment where Jake's rage manifests in the flashback while simultaneously in the current time Charlie is getting bored of her dad's babbling is the standout moment. The slightly distorted sound of the ocean that Charlie begins to pay more attention to over her dad syncs up with the unbridled rage swirling within Jake, and as he explodes in fury, the distorted sound of the ocean muddles out everything except for a few faint sound effects of objects being broken. The direction and sound design here was simply incredible. Right after this flashback, we got some dialogue I found really relatable.
Of course I'd be good at it, but I'm not into it.
Not to be cocky, but I find that really relatable in regards to some past experiences I've had.
In 40s, older than I ever want to be.
And that line is even more relatable for me. I've already connected pretty deeply with both Charlie and Jake, and we're only 2.5 minutes in. And then Adventure Time did something that made me flinch more than any violence or gore I've seen in anything in a long-ass time. Yeesh, that really creeped me out. Although the scene where Jake vomits his bones out later in the episode, that made me lose my shit from laughing. And of course, this episode is the first time Charlie makes a major appearance. Charlie is so fun! I didn't realize how much I wanted an episode with her before, but I certainly want another episode with her in it now. I love her personality, and her powers are frickin' ridiculous, where she can grow in size but maintain her mass, plus now she's got mind-cleansing abilities, which probably could be co-opted for a wider range of mind manipulation abilities in general. Just like, wow, geez, there's so much you can do in a story with that. Charlie's lair in Egypt has got to be the coolest dwelling thus far in Adventure Time. It has such a great design and ambiance, and I love how her personality is in stark contrast to her crib. This sweet location is where she performs a ritual using bodily components from her mother and father to gaze into her future to understand herself better, and while the technicalities and outcome of the ritual are rather vague, the experience was fascinating and quite haunting. I was very mesmerized by this scene, and Charlie's voice acting was especially superb. Her delivery managed to vividly express subtle emotional nuance in very short lines of dialogue.
My 80s. I'm afraid again.
While Charlie merged with her 90-year-old self during the ritual, it's unclear how much knowledge and experiences this allowed her to acquire. I got the impression that rather than integrating an entire collection of memories from an entire lifetime, she instead took on the primary mental state and epiphanies achieved on a decadal basis. Is the life Charlie saw through her ritual also now invalidated because she herself changed as a result of the ritual? Will there be no Gibbon? It's all very vague and open to interpretation, but who knows, maybe we can get some answers in the future. Now, I've seen a few people express an issue with the episode in that they thought Card Wars, the game itself, would be more at the forefront, that the actual gameplay would be more involved with the plot of the episode. And they're right in that this didn't happen. Card Wars was just a tool to tell the somewhat independent but related stories of Charlie and Jake. It could have been swapped out for practically anything without the episode really changing, although it works really well because we already knew Jake had a massive problem when it comes to Card Wars. But personally, I didn't mind that the games themselves were glanced over and lacked the comedic impact of the first Card Wars episode. I derived plenty of fun and enjoyment from the events framed around the Card Wars tournament. Plus, Jake's long-winded explanation at the start of the episode was plenty for me to get that TCG parody fix anyway. Although I did have one really small nitpick relating to Card Wars. People talking about garbage wins and low-class maneuvers in a trading card game tournament? What? No way. If it's a legal play, you want to do the thing that has the best chance of guaranteeing victory. TCG tourneys aren't dictated by some external honor system at the competitive level. That ain't true to life. Although this is an epic so small, I considered not even bringing it up. In the end, Daddy-Daughter Card Wars was elevated above its basic premise by the fun flow, stimulating dialogue, and a fascinating addition of creepy mysticism. Everything really clicked together for me into a highly enjoyable experience. Now I cannot wait for a solo Charlie episode. Out of all of Jake's kids, Charlie is hands down the one I want to see more of most.
Okay.